friends, welcome back to Mimi's Mixed Bag, and if this is your first video of mine, thank you for stopping by. I have over 500 videos and hopefully you can find something you like. But today I'm participating in a fun monthly collab called Twine It Up Challenge. If you've been with me, you know that I participated in many collabs, but this past year with virtual school, it's been hard to commit to due dates. But I made the time this month, and it is hosted by two incredibly talented ladies, Creations by Favi and Michelle's Cozy Home. These ladies never cease to amaze me, and their channels are growing by leaps and bounds. The only big rule to the challenge was to incorporate twine in your project. Well, this being the end of May, I'm ready to switch out my spring mantle to my summer mantle, and that's usually patriotic themed, and I'm going to incorporate some twine in my design. So I'm going to cut away and show you my spring mantle that I'm ready to take down, and then the supplies you'll need for the new one. All right, here we are in my back den. I just want to show you what we're working with here. This whole back wall is bookshelves, and then I have this inset for my fireplace mantle. And this was my kind of Easter spring mantle this year. Where those green little lattice things are, I had some really cute Easter prints hanging up there. I took those down and put the wreath that I had made from a Dollar Tree tablecloth. Some of you may remember that project. But I love the little birdhouses that I had this year. And then this was just some little felted balls I created from an Amazon kit that I just thought was real cute, that stood out from the dark fireplace. So I'm going to take all this down and start on my Patriotic decor. All right, I've got my supplies laid out here, and let me just go ahead and show you that the back of my mantle is going to have a 3-piece set. You could use some scrap plywood like I have, or you could use the Dollar Tree canvases, whatever you got, but I'm just going to use up some of this plywood rectangles that I have. Now the twine I'm going to use is from the Dollar Tree, and it's cotton twine. You know, we all think of jute twine, but there's all different kinds of twine. With this saying twine on the package, I feel like I can technically use it. Now with it being cotton, it's just like a t-shirt. You can dye it if you want a specific color. So I did a little experiment, and I dyed some red and blue with food coloring, and I got this kind of faded look. If you're doing primitive or you wanted the faded look, this is the way to go. But I really wanted a more vivid red and blue, so I'm going to dye mine with some acrylic paint. On one of my pieces of wood, do a little string art. So I took a metal star off my wall and traced it as a pattern, and so one of my squares is going to have string art. So when I come back to you, I'm going to have one piece painted royal blue using the Dollar Tree paint, and then two using the white apple barrel. And I just want to show you that the Dollar Tree paint covers just as well or better than the apple barrel. All right, I cut out my paper star pattern, and I'm just going to place it center of my blue board, and then I took a marker and just put a dot about every ½ inch around my shape. This is how you do all string art, whether you're doing a heart or cross or whatever. And I'm going to put these little 1-inch, they're called wire nails or something like that, but I'm just going to hammer them in the shape of the star, nailed in there secure enough. And now I'm going to carefully tear away my paper pattern. Now I'm left with my star shape outlined in the nails. Now I know there are string artists out there, and there might be a right way and a wrong way, but I've done this enough that in no particular way, and it turned out fine. I'm just going to take my string and pick a nail and just start wrapping the nail up and down, back, forth, left, right, every which way until I get my shape covered. And then at the end, that's when I'll go back and do each individual nail for my outline. So I will tell you, that's the only real technique I'm doing, is the outline last. I'll put it on time lapse so you can see me doing it. Ready to move on to my whiteboards. And of course, if you weren't doing this twine challenge, you could just paint red stripes on there. I'm going to dye my twine red using the acrylic paint. Now, it's pretty simple. It's messy, but it's super simple. I've got about a capful of apple barrel, any red will do, and then about half water. You're going to stir it up. I'm kind of doing this one-handed, but then you're going to just take your rolled up string. I cut pieces 3 yards long, and I'm going to have 4 red stripes. I'm going to put it in there, make sure all the yarn gets wet. Now this is acrylic paint and it will totally wash off your hands, unlike food coloring and things like that. Wring out as much water as you can, okay, and then you're just going to keep it, keep it in the wound up. And you're going to put it, maybe need 1 paper towel for each stripe, but just dry off your string as much as you can. You'll be surprised how quick the twine dries. Okay, I know that probably looked like a murder scene, but the red paint washes up fine. And the only reason why I'm showing you this is so that in case you ever did need some emergency string, green or pink or whatever, that you can make any color string with a little paint and water. I'm going to use a blow dryer and finish drying these. I rewrapped them so they wouldn't tangle. As soon as I get these dry a little bit more, then I'll wrap them on my whiteboard to make my red stripes. All right, now that I've got my string on my board, I'm really not liking it as is. So what I'm going to do is use my string as my guide, and I'm going to paint this section and this section red. It'll give me the red stripe that I'm wanting, and so it'll just be that the stripes are trimmed in the twine. All right, I'm loving how that is looking. The last patriotic thing I want to make, just a quick way to really jazz up a mason jar or a large pickle jar, whatever you have, that you can make it fit your theme. I have a piece of scrap fabric or a bandana is what I'm using. I'm going to gather it up. First, I'm going to probably gather up all 4 corners. You can kind of tuck it around and get it as smooth on the jar as you can. All right, and it works preferably if your jar has some kind of, screw-on lid, like a lip to it, so that it'll have somewhere for your rubber band to rest and keep your fabric or bandana in place. And you're going to wrap the rubber band around the mouth of the jar, and then you've got these little flaps here at the top. You can kind of like fold those back in the inside the jar, blouse it up a little bit. Just wanted to explain to you how I did the fabric. That's when you'll stick flowers in there. Then you can put some ribbon, or I may end up making a tassel with some of the twine to tie it into my challenge. All right, friends, the daylight has just about got away from me, but I wanted to show you what I've come up with here. I've got some things from last year. Just want to explain to you what I've got. This is my 3-piece wood set. Just love how they turned out. Sometimes those mishaps just turn into happy accidents, and I love that the string gives the stripe some dimension on the edges. But love my string art for the star. These are the tassels I made for the jars, and just dug out some Christmas decorations. Some of those little red curly cues and red beads. These are some things I had from last year, the birdhouse, the USA letters, and the stacked book. And this is a tassel banner that I made last year that I just really love, that's got patriotic songs copied as part of the banner. I hope you enjoyed this little twine challenge, and you will be sure and check out the other participants. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.